Welcome to this Roll for Curtain review. Today, we're heading off into space as we check out Luna Capital. In this game, you are helping to build up and colonize the moon, and in order to do so, you're going to have to make buildings that help keep people alive, as well as, of course, some other nice amenities.
You're trying to colonize it the best you can and earn the most points. You're going to be doing that by building up your own personal tableau of cards and tiles, and this main board here is going to have the options that you'll be choosing from as the game goes on. On your turn, you will take one of these cards and then any of the tiles that are underneath it. So at the beginning, there's only going to be one, as you see here, but as the round progresses, there will be more and more until eventually there's 4 down below, so you'll be adding a lot of tiles at one time. This over here indicates that someone took the card in this position last time, and if you want to take that, you have to spend a card from your hand in order to get it. So you're a little bit disincentivized for that reason, but it might have some tiles that you really want. So whichever one that you take, let's say I grabbed this one, you take the tile that goes along with it, you'll place this card somewhere in your tableau, and it has to match up with the numbers on the card. So they go from 1 to 10, and you have to put them in sequential order. So here's a 10 here, I could put my 9 right there, or I could have put an 8 here or a 7 or any number lower than 10, but later on I won't be able to add anything in the middle of those two. So you need to be conscious of that, and you're only going to be allowed to have 3 rows of cards by the end of the game. So I could use this one also to start a brand new row and build off of that in a different direction with different cards. It really depends on what you're going for and what tiles you have and how their placement is working for you at that time. The tiles that you get that turn, you can place anywhere. They don't have to go on the card that you played that round, and you're usually trying to match them up. We'll get into more specifics of exactly what each tile does. You're also going to have cards in hand, and you could use one of those and play those on your turn, not necessarily the one that you just chose. So maybe you're taking one for a future round, or maybe you just really wanted the tiles associated with it. That could be a decision that you make on your turn to decide what you're going to place and how.
And once it returns to the first player, as we stated, you're going to add tiles there, making you get even more rewards for each thing you draft until you've done it with 4 tiles. Then you reset with the B tiles, as you can say the C, A. You do that until you've finished C tiles. Then you're going to score everything. The scoring is what we're going to go over here. First, there are these goals up here. These are short term, and this is long term. Pretty much, this is harder than those. At the end of each round, you check if you completed them. If for each player they did, they put their player marker on it. Multiple people can complete the same goal in a round. However, next round, no other player can complete these. Only these 2 players are able to score that. You have enough to score each one, so if you're lucky enough and plan well, you can get all 3. At the end of the game, you're going to have this lovely score pad. This is how you're going to score everything, and it's based on the different buildings and symbols. Most of them will come from tiles, but as you can see, some of them are pre-printed on cards. A majority of them are going to look at the largest grouping. So for example, these blue triangles here, that is the largest grouping here. Obviously, you'd hope to get more than 2. They have the numbers here for each thing. There are 4 different buildings that do that. Afterwards, there are farms that want variety. There are some other ones that are just flat points. And then the meteorites actually have you look at other players, and whoever has the most gets a large bonus with, depending on other player counts, may get smaller bonuses for second and third. Once you've tallied up all the points from the tiles, the bonuses, and anything else, you look to see who has the most points and has built up the moon the best.
There are more tiles that we didn't touch on that can help you out as the game goes on. You see there's a couple of special tokens on the side here. If you get one of these, you can spend it to swap the position of 2 tiles before you buy them. Or those little robot guys over there, those are handy. They let you cover up one of the numbers on a card. So if you just can't get that next number that you need, then you can use one of those to just ignore it and ignore those number rulings. So that can be really useful too.
There are plenty of other little weird tiles as well, some that let you actually destroy either a printed or another tile so you can build on top of it. And there's also some that let you draw more, some that actually reward you for like building a lot of meteors around it or the other buildings. So there is a lot of planning ahead and trying to hopefully play your cards and tiles right so you get some very nice large groupings. The real player interaction in this really does come from the drafting, which you could try to pick from your opponent, but really you're probably just saying like, I desperately need a 3, so I'm taking that. And the meteorites, that's really where you're going to be looking at other people's colonies like, all right, they have 4, but I have 3, so maybe I should take this card to get that extra one, so I'm at least tied for lead or something, or maybe just a farther lead. Other than that, it's really just building up your own place.
I would say these two a little bit because this is like
That
a
is true,
race
yes.
aspect where, like this one, for example, it wants 3 of this type of tile in a row. So I might say, oh, he only has 1 of those, so I can wait on that one. It's not a rush. But if somebody is getting close to it, it's like, well, I don't want to get locked out of those points, so I should try to get that one finished this round. Otherwise, it is mostly a solo affair. It kind of depends on how you play. You could be taking a look at everybody and figuring out what they're doing and analyzing it, or you can kind of just focus in on your own personal play area and worry about that. As we said, there's a lot of different tiles with different symbols, and there's a reason that Will is the one who explained them to you, because I don't know if I could have, because after a few games of this, I still have trouble keeping track of exactly which things are what. They're not that complicated. Most of them, as we said, are just group them together. And it's not really much more complex than that. There's something about the different little symbols in all of them that makes my brain feel sad. That kind of fries my brain a little bit. But that is what it is.
Unfortunately, there is no reference sheet, even the rule book.
Yeah.
I mean, the rule book has them in it, but some other games may have it on the back of the rule book that you could pass around. The best is a score sheet, and the score sheet does a decent job, but there are a couple things they don't fully explain on there, so I don't count that as a reference sheet.
Yeah.
Now, I do like, though, in some drafting games that sometimes, because the random luck of how things are shuffled, like you might not never see a card. It is designed in such a way, like that's why I think that the A, B, and C, that you should always see that many of the farms, of the pink squares or whatnot. So that didn't feel like too bad. The numbers can sort of feel like that, but once you actually look at the ratios, deck is designed such that there's a lot of 1, 2, 3s and like 10, 9, 8s, the starting numbers in essence. You're not going to find a lot of the 4s and 5s. So it's almost incentivized that you should skip a number. You technically only draft 12 cards. So with 3 rows, you're not going to get a perfect 1 through 10.
Yeah, I know at first I was definitely like, oh man, I have to line them up perfectly. I don't want to play another card after 2 unless it's a 3 because I want to be careful. But like you said, when you think of it as just 12 cards, it's pretty unlikely that you are going to be in too much trouble over here with those numbers. It's really more about helping you decide which card you want to take and which tiles you're going to get associated with it. That's why those robots are so handy. But there are some cards like this one that care about the actual layout of your colony, and that could be what starts to make it trickier. If you want to go for those 10 points, maybe you really want to make sure you get these 2 rows of 4 as indicated here, but it would be easier for you to start a 3rd row. That's where you might have to start thinking more about the layout. And of course, if you have these 2 up here and you want more, you probably want to start another row here so you can keep building off of that grouping of those certain tile types. There is plenty to think about as to how and where you position those. And, the tiles come up randomly, of course. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of luck involved in, the numbers I want just didn't come up or with the right tiles. But it's not, I never felt like I was really being it never felt unfair.
No, I think part of it is how the rounds are structured, because the very first time of each round where you're only taking 1, you're like, oh, well, this is the one tile. But once you get to 3 or even 4, when you do your pick, you're like, whoa, I've got all these. What am I going to do with them? I feel like that's what makes it those later rounds where you can that's when you really fill out your place.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I have no idea. Actually, that can be even harder sometimes because it's like, I want to save this spot for more of this type of building, but I have to play all of these tiles. So that's when you have to choose, okay, what am I sacrificing now? Because it's very unlikely, at least if you're me, that you're going to be doing really well grouping everything. You almost want to pick 2 or 3 things that you want to maximize your score potential in and concentrate on those. Or you could go for jack of all trades, or you could really focus on these. I did think that was one thing that it seems like there's not necessarily a guaranteed path to victory because there's so many different ways to earn points. We had one player do very well in a game without scoring any of these objectives. Mm-hmm. So it's not like there's one guaranteed path to victory, which is always appreciated.
Crits and misses for Luna Capital.
Crits. This game requires a dual focus as to which tiles and which powers you want, and which cards with which numbers you want to place and when. And the 2 together add a nice layer of puzzling to the game.
It is extremely rewarding when you place your cards just right to maybe be like, oh, this is now the perfect grouping for tiles, meaning you're going to get a nice big bonus of points at the end of the game.
While there are a lot of different cards and tile types, the way that they are organized and the way that they are scheduled to come out round after round ensures that you'll see a good variety of different components and you'll rarely feel like you're stuck in terms of what you have access to.
Many games, especially drafting ones, sometimes you never see a specific card or even type come out, but because they built this ABC system, you should see every building come out for each game.
The artwork is cute and pleasant, and the game is well organized with helpful holders for the cards and tiles that you'll be receiving. Everything is laid out in a way that makes sense for a relatively simple and light game.
I find the art is on point as well as a lot of extra components to really help make sure that things are in place. It really seems they put in a lot of effort into what is put into this box and how everything is organized. Misses. While a lot of tiles seem to score in very similar ways, they do have a bunch of their own symbols, and sometimes it can be a bit confusing, and the lack of a reference card is very disappointing.
Your first couple of games, you're going to be looking back at that score sheet and the rule book a number of times to make sure you're placing things in just the right way. It would have been very easy and very helpful for them to include some kind of a reference for the players to keep track of it.
The cardboard constructions are really cool to see on the table, but sometimes they seem like a bit much. I don't know how much some of these add to the game outside of being they look very nice.
The little cardboard holders for the cards and tiles give it a nice table presence, but at their worst, they can make it a little bit cumbersome to get certain things or to see certain things depending on which angle you're looking at the board from.
I do want to focus on how we seem to have a crit and a miss that were pretty much about the same thing. Partially is because I'm a sucker for things like this. Like you can look right here how you designed this to hold all the tiles, and these do fit in there to hold the cards and even the tiles outside the game. But while Jonathan was playing, he was constantly angry because I don't know how this kept coming up. He was sitting perfectly where the card holder would block this card.
Yeah, it's just one of those little things. I mean, I don't feel that strongly about these one way or the other, but it's like, does this make the game better when these could just sit here and I can see this number more clearly? It helps a little because you can scoop the card or what have you, but it seems like something that they could have made this game like $5 cheaper and not put those things in it. It's not a huge deal, but it's one of those little things that just kind of bugs me. It's a nitpick, though.
Yeah. The bigger issue, though, is the reference card. Like, I understood the symbols throughout the game because I mostly played a bit more of it and go the single player, which we'll go to a bit later. But it was something that could have been even just the back of the rule book, I think, is sometimes a fine pass that many games do before. And the fact that that was lacking, it made me feel a little bit more worried, especially when new people were trying this game out.
Yeah, namely me, because I'm very bad at this game. But talk about the solo mode first. How did that compare to the multiplayer?
The solo mode is pretty much playing like a two-player game, which is nice. There isn't that many complex rules. Like they don't have their own AI deck. They pretty much draft, I can't remember exactly right now, depending on where this is placed. And you don't have to lay out cards for them. They pretty much imagine if somehow they played all their tiles perfectly. So really, it's all about just you're playing a extremely smart opponent in a two-player game. And your biggest way to combat them is not only drafting yourself, you have to remember what they're going to pick. That really will be how you win the two-player game. I lost just barely by, I think, like 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would lend itself well because, as I think we said, this does feel a little bit like a solo game where you're just playing with other people at the same time.
Right, but I don't mind that a lot. Maybe because I tend to enjoy that. It doesn't mean I have to worry about someone messing with my plans. But this is one of those games, too, where I still get to, like, look at this cool thing I built, and, like, I have that in front of me. Which usually you get to see that reflected in the points.
Yeah. So I definitely think you liked this game more than I did. It's hard for me to criticize it too much because I just feel like maybe part of it is just that I'm so bad at it. And I don't want people to think that I'm just salty that I kept losing. But, to me, this is a fine tile laying game. I just think for me, there was just too much going on with these. For whatever reason, it couldn't make it work in my brain. You said you liked the artwork, and yeah, the building illustrations are fine and nice and cute, but for me, it was nothing to write home about. I feel like most of the time what you're looking at in this game is just a wall of gray. And I never really felt that satisfied with the end result. I think the aspect of like putting the numbers in order is fun and interesting. But for me, it was just like, this is fine. I could take it or leave it, but it's nothing that really made me want to play it that many more times.
I understand where you're coming from. For me, I did really enjoy like getting that right number and be like, oh, if I put this up here now, that gives me more for blue. Now I can get that a little bit bigger. And at the same time, though, coming from the drafting perspective, I think a lot about like more complicated drafting games. Like you think not just about like picking what's good for you, there's picking what you think might be better later on because you can hold on to it, as well as hate drafting, pretty much picking something your opponent really wants. That isn't as strong here because you have to play all the tiles right away. You can't hold on to that pink square tile until you get some more pink square tiles to place. And obviously, like you can maybe pick something your opponent wants, but similar to what I think of in my mind of Ticket to Ride, you shouldn't just build something for the sake of blocking someone. You probably are doing it because it's what you want to.
Yeah. Well, if you like optimization puzzles and this sort of a tiling, tableau building game, this is something you may want to take a look at. It's called Luna Capital. And if you've had the chance to play it, maybe you can let us know what you think, or maybe in the comments down below, you could give me some pointers so that I don't get demolished the next time this hits the table.
We'd love to hear from you. But until then, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been Roll for Crit. Congratulations, you have reached the end of the video. But before you leave, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. If you want to help us out more, you can check us out on Patreon. And if you want to see us play about in playing board games or some video games, you can check out our Twitch or our other YouTube channel, Roll for Crit Live, for more longer form videos that tend to be streamed live. So come join us.